Hi there, I'm Nu-Trix, and today we're looking into a new synthesizer, software synthesizer, that is bundled inside the new V Collection 11 from Arturia. It's a new synthesizer. It's called Pure Lofi, and it has a lot of attitude. It can be soft, subtle, it can be warm, it can be in your face, gives you instant access to retro sound and noise and ambiances. Let's just go right in and you'll hear what I mean. Okay, let's just go through a rapid tour of the interface. At the top, you have a lo-fi effect. So it's a processor, if you want, at the end of your mix that you go through. Then you've got the synthesizer itself with the different sources of sound, a filter with a lot of choices, a filter envelope, an amplitude envelope, keys to play with, a little speaker just for the fun of it, added controls. At the bottom, you've got brightness, timbre, time, movement, and you have also the option of going back. If you did something you want to go back, this is pretty cool. And then you also have polyphonic, monophonic, and all that stuff. But let's go back to how you make a sound so you understand how this works. You have 3 different sources here. Each of them you can select different type of sources. Click on it. The last one is noise or transient. So this one is more about a part of the sound, the noisy part, the attack part, the transient if you want to. And you can turn them on or off by just clicking here on and off. Okay, so and you see visually that the color changes. Now it's active, now it's off. Same thing with the filter. Now it's off, now it's active. And by clicking this off, the entire engine here is turned off. Okay, let's go back. We're just going to listen to the first sound here. So this one here has some vibrato to it. You see it here happening. You have the choice here of the different instruments, the different type of instruments you can play with. So you've got realistic instrument. So when you click on it, then you can decide a bunch of them here. I want to have something that is a string, pizzicato. Okay. And you have control here about the start. You can start later on. So you're basically like playing on a sample and starting later on in the sound. Of course, well, you can tune it if you want. You have the octave also, fine tuning and panning. And in EQ, you can control the low section and the high frequencies. Okay, so very quick, a lot of controls here. Now, of course, you've got a lot of choices to play with here, so it's easy to start for something. Let's say we go with this one. One thing I want to show you is this section here is none. If you click on this, now you have the engine hardware. If you have none right now, it's like you just have this sound that you play. When you pick one of these devices, you're basically going through the emulation of the physical hardware and the sampling capacities of these digital samplers from the past. So the MCI, the EMU, which one they don't tell, the SQ1, which is a Casio synthesizer, the SP1200, which is a EMU sampler, a drum machine, Weary 900, I don't know which one it is, but it has its own sound, and the MPC, probably MPC 60 type of sound. You also have just nasty sounding deteriorate and damage and crunch. Let's just try all of them, you'll see. Without. It was probably like 6 bits. You get the end, it stops. You get that really little nice crunch. Yeah, the background noise. The noise floor is 12-bit in this case. And the last one is the MPC. So you have the sampling part that would actually texture the sound. So all of these options here of, I would say, digital lo-fi, you have it here. Then you have deteriorate, which is subtle. The high end is sizzling. And crush. So a bit crushing. So all about getting the right sound, the ambience, the lo-fi type of sound. This is available for each of these options. So you get realistic instrument, you have creative sampler. Now creative sampler, for me, I find it funny, but it's basically using a sampler like you did in the 90s. And you would have your sample, then you would loop part of it. If you go into edit, you can actually decide which sample you're using, and you can decide you want to loop, what type of loop, forward, backward. You want a crossfade on it. So that was the way we worked in the days. I just love that sound. It brings back so many memories. So the effect of the hardware changes a lot the sound. I'm just going to open it up without it so we hear. Now you hear more clearly the movement of the sampler. If I go into edit, then I decide to loop that section here. We'll click loop. On a 4. So you see the top arrows are for the start and end, and the 2 bottom arrows are for the loop section. And then you have a fade. You have the fade. You can play forward or backward. This is really cool. This is really cool. And then you got chorus and level, normal stuff to play with. There you also have a lo-fi oscillator, so you can just have and they have this nasty sounding right away. So the sample or the oscillator itself already has so you have a bunch of them again, and they all have that sound that is already electronic sounding. So this is just the oscillator 1. You have exactly the same thing in oscillator 2, as same logic, realistic, creative. Next one, it's the noise. If I turn it off, you just hear. So a lot of textures you can have here. Imagine having this combined with a string and a pad, and you get this ambience going where you have this noise at the back, which is actually this. And you can still, shape it. So only keep the high end. Or again, all the options are really a lot of natural sounding ambiences, hardware stuff. I like this noise, and I'm going to find different ways to use this, but I like this nasty sounding noise at the back. That may be too loud for the sound. Then you have the filter, so you can go through the filter. So if you turn on the analog filter, you have already 3 types of filter. You get the clean, and this is where you assign it. So you want this to control engine 1, which is this one, engine 2, or noise. So if you click on it, you're bypassing it. You know, if you want this not to affect the noise, or you want it to be affect the noise and nothing else. So your control, it's kind of a switch on off or bypass switch here. Then what's interesting is you can, for each of them, there's a lot of options. You've got low passes, like the clean, or you have 12, 24, 36, which is very precise, and that's something we see often. So this is for the clean one. Now if you go for the analog one, now you get all the low pass, high pass, mid pass, all 12. That's it, only the 12. And if we go lo-fi, then you've got this weird control here. I'm going to turn this one off for now. And this is actually playing with, you get 2 filters. So this is about playing with the input filter and aliasing created by going over the frequency of sampling. See? So if you bring the sampling frequency, you get all this aliasing coming in. And you can even cut the frequency before going into the sampler, so you can kind of clean it up. That's pre, and post, well, you can also bring it down because you cut it that much. So it sounds more like a sampler with his own filters, input filters, and all that stuff. But without it, you get all the nasty little sound coming in. Engine 1, 2, 3, the filter. Already you've got plenty of noise and sound. And let's say I'm going to go back to more of an analog filter. Okay? Something more traditional in a way. But you go look at the top here, you've got this processor. You've got a cathodic tube, and then for each of these, you have control over the drive, the wear, the tone, the vintage sound, the speaker sound, the wobbling of it, the wear, want it to be driven or not. And you've got different type of, when you hear the noise you got in here. This one. So each of them, they have their own sound to it. They have their own noise to it, but also they have this, you can tweak more. And that's not all. You also have at the top here, advanced. When you press advanced, you now have access to all the other features that are part of most of the new synthesizer part of the bundle, the V Collection 11. Now you have ADSR, function, and rhythm, which are basically 3 modulation sources, but you can switch them. You can have function, rhythm, or voice modulator. You just pick the one you want, and then you just click on it here, and then you assign it to your destination. And then you click here to bring it up. So every time you press it, you also have controls about the keyboard. So keyboard, do you want to assign a modulation wheel, the keyboard tracking, the velocity, the release velocity, the aftertouch, MPE if you have MPE controllers. So all of these can be assigned to whatever you want in the synthesizer. It's very efficient. Again, you just click and drag on the button you want to control, and not on the on-off, but on the knobs and the values you can switch. Now this cannot be controlled, but these here can be. And also these little value here can also be controlled. You have macros also. You can assign multiple destinations to the same button. So then when you move it, you have a bunch of values that changes at the same time. So you can do a big change with one knob if you want. You also have in a section called effects. You see these effects are high quality Arturia's processing effects. And you see the list, all of them. You can pick any of the process you have here. You reverb, delay, dynamic compressor, multiband, multi-filter, another filter if you want to. A panner, phaser, flanger, chorus, super unison, transgate. And you have all of them, and you can move them between. You can change the order if you want to. And you can also assign them to this. So still the function and the random and the ADSR can affect something like this one or like this one here. So you can really use this to have a lot of movement and changes in your sound if you want to. All of this, when you take the time to create a sound, you get stuff like But these are sounds that I feel are the most valued where they're alone, because you hear them. They have a lot of story to tell. This is just a fun sampler to work with. It has a lot of texture, a lot of lo-fi control, a lot of digital noises. For me, it's fun because it brings me back to the 90s when I started using samplers, and the affordable one were the cheap ones. That sound was my normal sound. And I was fighting against the sound because I was trying to get a nicer sound. But at the same time, I enjoy the digital distortion because it would create stuff that did not exist in the real world. And I'm an electronic sounding guy. So having this digital distortion was kind of in my brain, the link between this is not real, this is fake, this is electronic, this is synthetic. And I love that type of sound. So this is really cool. The way they included everything. It's just like It just is a nice, soft, kind of, I like it. There's the warmth of the digital oldies, digital vintage sound. For me, it's a warm sounding sound. I like it. If you're interested, look up Arturia for the V Collection 11. Stay safe, make more music, and see you soon. Cheers.